All right, today we're going to cover 4.3 and 4.4. We're going to kind of concentrate on the trinomials. There's a page in your factoring booklet. Yesterday we talked about one particular trinomial, and that was the perfect square trinomial. But today we're going to talk about other trinomials. One where in standard form we have x squared plus bx plus c with no leading coefficient, no a if you will. Then we have the ones that have an a in front, which make things a little more difficult when you go to factoring. There are a jillion ways that teachers use to teach this method of factoring. The one that I'm going to talk about right here is called MARF. Have you ever done the MARF method? Okay, there's a MARF method, there's some of your others. There's lacking, there's what?
M-A-C.
Macking. Haven't heard macking, okay. I call it the AC method. Whatever method works, do it. It's all just fun kind of different ways after to help you remember how to do it. And once I show you MARF, even though you haven't seen MARF, you'll go, oh yeah, I remember how to do that. Hopefully. So here's what happens. And keep in mind, we're talking about a standard form right here. When you have a problem in standard form, notice it is a trinomial. So under your booklet, under trinomial. So we'll look at this MARF idea. So the first thing you're going to do, there's 4 steps. The first thing you're going to do is to multiply your A times your C, which is why I call this the AC method, and some folks call it the AC method. That's probably the most traditional way to determine it, because you literally multiply your A and C together to start with. So we multiply A times C. And then we're going to find 2 numbers that are equal to this product and also add up to the middle term. So you want to find 2 numbers that do the MA, that multiply together to give you AC, that add together to give you B. And we're actually going to pause there a moment, and we're going to call these magic numbers to be fun with it. So I'm going to give you a little sheet to walk through real quick, where I'm going to give you a product, and I'm going to give you what they need to add to, and see if you can find the 2 magic numbers. So for those at home, run this sheet off. It's also in U2L, run it off, fill it out. I'll be back with you. So what are we going to do with those magic numbers? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to restate the middle term, the Bx. You're going to restate the middle term, the Bx, with those 2 magic numbers. And then you're going to factor by grouping. So multiply A to C, add, in other words, factor 2 numbers that multiply to AC and add to B. And then R, restate the middle term using the magic numbers, and then factor by grouping. Now, when we start doing examples, if you have another way to think about it in your head, it's the same process. You think about it differently. You go right out of the head and think about it differently. And yes, we did that magic number sheet. So, let's say we have 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. So the first step is to multiply our A times our C. So that's 2 times 12. All right, so 2 times 12 is 24. Some people I like to do this. I like to put my 24 right here. And I'm looking for numbers that multiply to give me 24 and add to give me the middle term of 11. So factors of 24 that add up to 11. So I'm thinking through 4 and 6 are the first things that come to my mind. They don't add up to 11. 3 and 8, right? Okay. So 3 and 8 are going to be the 2 numbers that I'm going to replace 11x. I'm going to replace the middle term with a 3x plus 8x. Literally going to replace the middle term with that. And then I'm going to bring down my A and C. And then at that point, I have 4 terms. Well, on your factoring thing yesterday, we talked about what happens when you have 4 terms. That's the grouping idea. So let's group. And then find out what's common in each group. This first group, I can pull an X out. The second group, I can pull what? 4 would be the biggest thing I can pull out. And if you've done that correctly, this will match this. Yes, sir.
Does it matter where you're looking to?
Nope, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You mean this 2x? Like which 2? No, like
3x.
Oh, these 2, no. Makes no difference. You can put the 8x plus 3x, and you'll be pulling out something different, but it'll still work. It'll still match. So in this term right here, in this deal, I have 2 factors. I have an x times a 2x plus 3. Over here, I have 2 factors, a 4 and a 2x plus 3. So what factor do they have in common? I'm pulling out the GCF. The GCF is 2x plus 3. And once I've pulled it out, what's left is x plus 4. Bingo. There's my 2 factors of that trinomial. And of course, if you're not sure if it's right, you could always FOIL that to see if indeed. For this, I'm going to check it right here just once to let you know that you can do this. I'm going to check. I'm going to FOIL these first terms, outer terms, inner terms, last terms. 8 and 3 is 11. So that would be 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. Will that work? Yes, it did. So no, right. Okay. Let you do this one here. Factor 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. It has that product of -6, which is one of the hardest. So work on that a second. Common mistake kids make, which we kind of went over this a little bit yesterday. But when you look at this second grouping, the x minus 3, your first thought is, oh, they don't have anything in common until you stop. And you can't stop. You've got to pull something out of that group. And what can you pull out of every group? A 1. So we're going to pull a 1 out. Then we've got us the common factor. And that's left. So we've got 2 factors of that trinomial. Now, I'm just curious. I want to take a poll here of what method y'all use. All right, let's see what else we have going on here. Now this we call the mini mark, if you want to call it that. The difference here is that there is no leading coefficient. There's no A. And when there's no leading coefficient, it's beautiful because we can go in and set up 2 parentheses like this and put a D here and a D here. Because the only way you're going to get a D squared is by a D and a D. You have no options. So there's really no choices to make on your first term. No other way to get a D squared. And then you'll do the same kind of method. We call it mini mark because we're going to start grouping. We're not going to do the 3 steps. So I want factors of 27. Still multiplying 1 times 27 is 27. Then add it to -12. 3 and 9. Both negative. Right? And add to -12. Yeah. So I can just go ahead and put this -3, -9 right in. But you can only do that if there's no leading coefficient. Or actually, there is a leading coefficient. It's just a 1. And so it automatically proves. You don't have to go through the whole process. You start with the grouping. Okay? All right. So quickly, is this a mini mark or a mark? It's a mini mark. So now I can go in and set up an X and an F. X and an F. Yeah. Because there's an understood one right there. Oh, it's another one of those -6 guys. Factors of -6 that add up to -5. -6 and +1. That makes sense. It does. So see, these can go really fast, the mini marks. And again, this is what you spent most of your time on algebra 1A and B. Think you got it? Do we need to do any more? We're good? Okay. Don't get scared when you get big numbers. Matter of fact, let's do one with big numbers and then we'll be good to go. So is this a mini mark or a mark?
Mark.
It's a mark. So I need to multiply 5 times 26, and see already I'm going to have to use my calculator, because I don't know what 5 times 26 is. But I'm about to hear. What is it, 130? So I need factors of 130 that add up to 23. Now right off the top of my head, I don't know the factors of 130. The obvious one to me is a 10 and a 13 because this ends in 0. So I know that 10 is a factor. And sure enough, 10 and 13 will add up to 23. So it did work. But when you get big numbers, you do sometimes have to use your calculator to figure out which factors to use. You won't just know it off the top of your head. So I'm going to use 10R and 13R to take the place of the middle term. Bring this down, bring this down. Just finish this right through. I'll prove it. Pull 5 out of the first group. Oh, I left that little R out. Bless his heart. Oh my God. Sorry, little guy. That again. Okay. So, pull out a 5R. So, they won't have anything going. Poor little guy. There we go. And then I pull 13 out of those groups. That would be a 1R. Common factor. Alright, so I'm going to declare you good at marking and mini marking, or whatever you want to call yourself, unless you tell me otherwise. And that means coming to your tutorial and get some extra help. Is that fair enough? Okay. Alright. Let's see. Oh, holy moly, what is this? We just got on the bridge.
Whoa.
It's equal to 0. So we're going all the way to Solveville now. Now we are going to go through Factorville. We still have to do all that factoring mess. But every time you write down a step, put your equal 0 to remind yourself that indeed you are solving. You're going all the way to Solveville. Otherwise you'll lose your place and you'll end up in the water and you'll okay? All right, so let's start marking. Is it a mark or a mini mark? It's a mark. So I've got to go 3 times -8, which is -24. That needs to add up to -10. What do you think? I want to say 6 and 4, but I don't think I can make that work for both. I have to use 2 and 12, right? So 2 and 12, and I want the bigger one to be negative. So I'll go -12x, positive 2x. That's the middle one. This down, and I'm going to go in and bring an equal 0 to remind me that I'm going all the way. Equal 0. equals 0, you will stop right there and tell me the two factors are 3x plus 2 and x minus 4. And I'll say, that is not what I asked. I want to know, what is x? I want you to solve the mystery. Did I mess up, Joe?
Could you use the quadratic formula for this?
Well, it's going to be easier. I mean, that is a way to solve this, but factoring is how we're going to solve it today. Because, yeah, there are other towns we can go through to get the Solveville, and we'll talk about other ones as we move along. But today we're going to go with Factorville. So now we're back to what we did yesterday. Remember, if I have something times something equals 0, what does one of those somethings have to be? A 0. The only way you're going to get a product is 0. The only way. So either 3x plus 2 is 0, or x minus 4 is 0. You just solve both of those. It's a pre-algebra problem here. So negative 2/3 is one of my answers. X is 4 is my other answer. Am I surprised I got 2 answers? No. How do I know I should get 2 answers? That's right, because it's a quadratic. It's the highest exponent, therefore that's how many solutions I need. Alright? So the big deal is factoring, marks and mini marks, and setting them up equal to 0, and then doing the factors equal to 0. We good? I don't want to beat the dead horse to death. I am also going to give you an extra credit domino activity. For you at home, run it off, follow directions. Here's your assignment. See you next time.